Here's the clue that made me stop the video. The moment the puppy finally looks into the camera, the investigation is already over. Before you even know who failed that animal, what system abandoned it, or why it happened, your brain has been handed a destination: relief. The uncomfortable question isn't whether the rescue is real. It's whether the story has quietly decided what you're supposed to feel before you've had a chance to think. Great rescue documentaries earn their emotional payoff, but many viral rescue narratives also follow an almost mechanical rhythm. Darkness, desperation, music rises, tears arrive, then comes redemption. None of that automatically makes the story dishonest. The question is whether the edit encourages us to treat emotional closure as proof that the deeper problem has somehow been resolved. That pattern shows up in documentaries far beyond animal rescue. Human interest documentaries frequently build sympathy through selective pacing, carefully chosen interviews, and cinematic escalation before offering a satisfying emotional release. Those techniques are legitimate filmmaking tools, but they also shape interpretation long before viewers consciously realize it. Notice what often disappears. We rarely spend equal time examining breeding incentives, irresponsible ownership, overcrowded shelters, veterinary funding, enforcement, or adoption economics. Those issues are harder to dramatize because they don't fit neatly into a beginning, middle, and triumphant ending. Structural problems rarely provide the emotional payoff audiences have been trained to expect. That's why high-contrast lighting, slow-motion reveals, swelling music, and carefully timed reaction shots matter. None of these techniques prove manipulation on their own. They're standard filmmaking language. But together, they can create the impression that one rescued puppy represents victory over a much larger problem whose scale remains mostly invisible. This isn't unique to rescue content either. Good storytellers understand that audiences remember emotional peaks more than statistical context. Conversations about narrative itself often return to this idea. People organize reality through stories because stories are easier to process than sprawling systems with no obvious ending. Here's where the incentive structure becomes interesting. Platforms reward completion. Completion rewards emotional payoff. Emotional payoff rewards redemption. That doesn't necessarily mean creators are acting in bad faith. It means the format itself appears to favor stories that leave viewers feeling emotionally complete, even when the underlying issue remains largely unchanged. Ironically, rescue organizations often do extraordinary work, and individual animals absolutely benefit from those efforts. None of this should diminish that achievement. The criticism is aimed at narrative framing, not compassion itself. Helping one animal is unquestionably meaningful. Suggesting that one rescue represents meaningful systemic reform is a much bigger claim. That's the suspicious clue we started with. The redemption wasn't necessarily false because the puppy recovered. It becomes incomplete when emotional closure quietly replaces structural curiosity. If viewers leave inspired to adopt, volunteer, donate, or ask harder questions, the story keeps going. If they leave believing the crisis has already been solved, the documentary may have delivered catharsis instead of understanding. The most interesting documentaries aren't always the ones that make us cry. They're the ones that make us rethink what we thought we understood. If you enjoy investigations that separate powerful storytelling from persuasive storytelling, subscribe to Dr. Review. We've got plenty more cases to reopen.